Alright, here's a little update on my build. I haven't put anything up in a while because I've been so busy. But I got, practically a full bottom end sitting here ready to be assembled. I'm waiting on my head and my exhaust manifold. I gotta finish welding my exhaust manifold, and the machine shop's doing the valve job. And as soon as I get all that stuff back, I'll make a full video on how to assemble one of these things with all the tricks and stuff that I picked up along the way. I've made a video about these rods, so I'm not going to go into any type of depth about them. These are ACL bearings. These are the GTIR 17 millimeter bearing, or actually 19 millimeter bearing, I'm sorry. The DET comes with a 17, so these BC rods come already notched to accept these bigger bearing. So if you have a set of Eagles or something else that is ready for the 17 millimeter, you can get them notched by any reputable machine shop and run those, and it just gives you a little bit of surface area, extra. So that's a nice little mod. It's not very expensive. You gotta buy rod bearings anyway. Greta cam gears, they're cam gears. They have to be adjustable so I can run the hall sensor. That's to be expected. I went with some JE pistons. These are the asymmetrical design. As you can see, it's got a big skirt here and a small skirt here. I assume the big skirt is on the side of the wall is when it's going up, or vice versa, maybe when it's coming down. I don't know. Wherever the most pressure is, I'm sure this is on that wall. And this is the one that takes the least amount of stress. So that's pretty cool. It makes it lighter. It's got some thick ring lands on it right there. It's got the valve reliefs in it, so I can run maybe some big Kelfords or whatever later down the road. So that's pretty cool. Now with these JE pistons, they come with these pins. These are the pins that they include in the box. This is the thin wall pin. It is not suitable for what I'm going to be using it for. They say this is good to about 150 horsepower per cylinder, and a lot of people run these and they break. They crack right in the middle, and your engine will be making this nasty noise. But it's not the rods making all that noise, it's this thing rattling around because it's not connected anymore. So what you can do is contact CP, or even JE makes them. Oops, excuse me. They just didn't have them in stock at the time. And you get a set of these. This is what you want. They're heavier, but I don't care. They're stronger. They'll hold up to the RPM. I'm not putting that in my engine. I'm putting that in my engine. So it's cheap insurance, $100, and I personally know a 2JZ guy who ran these and broke one, and that's why I know about the noise they make and stuff. And it's just don't skimp out on you gotta get these. That's it. If you're making over 600, get these, no problem. All right, so moving forward, they came with the Super Seal rings. Those are good rings. I'm gonna show everybody how to gap those and fit them, file fit them. I got a deburr and everything, so we'll do that correctly. I got this crankshaft. As you can see, it's been cut substantially, so it's a little bit lighter. Should rev fast and make plenty of power, and it bounced out just fine, so that should be cool. I got this sandblasted. It's my lower oil pan. I still need to get the second part of it, actually upper oil pan. I need to buy a lower part. Here's the turbo I'm running. This is a Borgwarner S13 SXE. It's good for about 850. It's going to be probably making 700-ish. Twin scroll housing with a true twin scroll manifold. I forgot to mention that I'll be running E85, and these pistons are 10.5 to 1. That's kind of a big deal. So yeah, it should make good power off boost, is why I chose such a big turbo. So this thing should be making 250 off boost, and then when this thing comes alive, party time. So that's why I chose that. The block is sleeved with dart sleeves. I went with 87 millimeter bore so I could have a thicker wall and run more boost. And if I ever have any type of problems, I can bore this thing to 90 millimeter and make it a 2.2. It's also got a step deck on it, and I got the matching head gasket. It's at the machine shop getting machined. Also, this block has been modified to run 1/2-inch head studs. As long with the head will be running 1/2-inch head studs, so we won't have any lift problems. Pretty much the only thing I didn't do on this thing was a dry sump. I got ARP hardware on the bottom. It's been line honed and all that. If you look closely, there is a 5-hole bearing right here. There's actually a groove machined into the main here. And I noticed that on a lot of new engines, like my Mazda Speed 3, they have this from the factory. But this is really good for oiling up the crank, getting oil to the rods, and since I'm using that bigger 19 millimeter rod bearing, my rod bearing shouldn't fail ever unless it's just starved of oil because I'm an idiot. But yeah, I got those all the way through. It's a good mod. It's nice and cheap to keep those rods from spinning. Those rod bearings anyway. But that's about it. This is as far as I've gotten. I hope there's some good information in here for some people that are, you know, looking to do the same thing. Here's the car. My garage is a mess right now because all the dirt bikes and car parts and shit. You know, it's coming together.